who's here? Scrooge. He books all the guests. That's a lot of work, and he's just the best. It's Melvin. He's manning the lenses. He makes sure we can welcome all our online friends. It's Coco, making sure things stay on track when all the shit goes down. She's always got our backs. It's Selena. She takes your hard-earned dosh, but she does it with a smile, so no one gives a toss. It's Doria. She's twisting the knobs. If you can hear us, it's because she's done her job. It's great. They're great and they're kind. They rescued our sample when we left it behind. It's Andrew. He makes him sing look easy, and he also wears a kilt 'cause he likes it breezy. He's Nerd Nite. Get your nerd on. In Tokyo. Keep your shirt on. Yours on. We'll make you think now. Park a lounge. Buy a drink now. It's Nerd Nite. Get your nerd on. In Tokyo. Keep your shirt on. Yours on. We'll make you think now. Park a lounge. Buy a drink now. Here we go.
Month's trailer. Let's just go into the next slide. Thank you. Yeah, nobody listens to that. I'm gonna stop doing them, to be honest. It's a lot of work. Welcome to Nerd Nite number 69. I am not making the obvious joke. This Nerd Nite is called Trains of Future Past. I guess you could stretch that somehow to be a joke, but I think okay. But I think the question in everybody's mind is this an X-Men reference? I'm asking, you titled it. What is it, an X-Men reference?
It is an X-Men reference, but I've never actually seen that movie or read that comic book.
That's so sad. Yeah, the beginning of that movie is one of the better X-Men movies, and it's also a pretty good comic book. All right, who's your favorite X-Men, Bruce?
Man, I don't know.
You don't know.
I've never thought about that question.
Does anyone have a favorite? It's a room of nerds. Does anyone have a favorite X-Men? Really? Wait, I said Cyclops? Okay, whoever that is, he's probably a narc. First Class. Oh, you're talking about the movie First Class. Okay. Oh, yeah, maybe. I'll give you that. Anyone from the anyone else? Favorite X-Men? No Nightcrawler love out there. No Dazzler love. You know, Magneto was an X-Men for a while. Yeah, it was Alan Moore's run. Anyway, so I'm apparently the only comic nerd here tonight. Right. Nerd Nite is the local franchise of a global speaking event. There are Nerd Nites all over the world. There are 4 in Japan. Every month, we host 2 speakers who talk about their field of expertise. Those fields can be anything, science communication, talks about art, humanities, activism, or even weird hobbies. So you can help us out by following us on social media, talking about us there, and retweeting our posts. And retweeting our toots, I guess, is the right way to say that. It's like mixing metaphors. You like retweet your posts, repost your toots. Now it is sounding like I'm making a joke about Nerd Nite number 69. All right, tagging us in posts about interesting stuff, that kind of thing. You could do that. That would be helpful. Today is June 20th. Other big events that have happened on June 20th. In 477 BC, the Battle of Cremera was part of the Roman Etruscan Wars. They ambushed and defeated the Roman army. They, by the way, was not a person, but a city, which makes the ambush even that much more impressive. They were a very sneaky bunch of people. 1870, there was not a lot in between there that was interesting or not racist. 1870, the First Vatican Council decrees the dogma of papal infallibility. I didn't realize it was that new. It probably happened because the Pope got embarrassed repeating some urban legend at a cocktail party. He was like, "No, I'm infallible. Come on, I was right." It's true. It really happened. Ted Cruz is the Zodiac killer. 1976, Nadia. I don't know how to pronounce this. Nadia Comaneci. Wow. Becomes the first person in the Olympic Games history to score a perfect 10 in gymnastics at the 1976 Olympic Games. I don't know if any of you guys have watched footage. Gymnastics in the 70s was nuts. There were people like doing landings on like shattered legs. It's crazy. There's stuff that's outlawed now that they did in the 1970s. So this is like, this woman was hardcore. 1992, a picture of Les Horribles Cernettes was taken, which became the first ever photo posted to the World Wide Web. I tried to click through it, but I got rickrolled. Anyway, Nerd Nite Tokyo is exactly as historically important as all of these. Next card, please. Our next event is July 18th, 2025, right here in Yozen Park Lounge in Cozy Sugamo, where they had to add Meiji back onto their government forms. Because you choose the... Oh, okay. Thank you. By the way, if you want to speak at a future event, contact a team member, specifically that team member, Bruce, also known as American Andrew. But I think we're booked up through the fall now, right?
We have some open space in the fall, and I'm always happy to talk to people who want to speak.
So
Please, don't be discouraged.
he's the guy to talk to. Let's go to the next card. Drinks. Buy drinks. It makes the people who host us very happy, and we want to keep them happy because we'd like to stay here. It's nice. Thank you, Yozen Park Lounge, for selling drinks and also letting us be here. Yay, drinks! They also have food, but I'll bet you they make way more money on the drinks. So buy drinks and food, but particularly the drinks. All right, next slide. Just the usual call for volunteers. I've got Mackenzie here for 2 months, and she is helping me set up these slides and all that kind of jazz. But she's only here for 2 months. I need someone to do that, so that would be great. And video editor. I mean, at the moment, that's mostly to edit the talks for YouTube. I think I'm going to stop doing the trailer at the beginning of the show. But yeah, if anyone wants to do that kind of stuff is important. All right, next slide. Hey, be cool and join the mailing list. So I used to always make like a dick pic joke here. Like I'd say, oh, we only send tasteful dick pics. So I thought it was so funny. But I'm reformed. And then, okay, so the other week, so something appeared here and it was like a picture of a blue-footed booby. And then last week it was Mackenzie made these slides. I just haven't planned this. Fan. How is this connected to some kind of, huh? What? Only fans. Nice. Oh, that's good one. All right. Okay. So, yeah, let's move on. Join our, it's not at all like OnlyFans, but that was a good joke. Yes, that part could be like OnlyFans. All right, the agenda tonight. We once again bring you two interesting people. First, longtime Nerd Nite audience member, professor, and railfan. Are you sure that's the prop? Was that you? That sounds more like a kink than a. Is that a real word? Okay.
I looked it up because I was like, is this the most appropriate word?
Oh, okay. Anyway, Billy Bunda will celebrate the 200th anniversary of steam locomotives. And then after that, Gekko Patria explains how quantum technology could make AI more sustainable. Just think, guilt-free Italian brain rot. Chimpanzini Bananini without the guilt. And this is mine. She's called Corporella Corna, the unicorn of guilt. So there's my Italian brain rot that is not guilt-free because I made it now before this quantum thing happened. So I probably burned down a rainforest. After each talk, there will be a Q&A. Don't cry, it's okay. There'll be a Q&A. Wait for the mic to ask your questions so that the people on the live stream can hear it. And questions? I don't want to hear, oh, this is more of a comment than a question. No, we don't want any of that, please. Questions, try to keep them reasonably short. We're asking our speakers, try to keep your answers reasonably compact as well. If you want to ask longer questions, they're around during the break. You can talk to them. Anyway, let's go to the next slide. And let me introduce speaker number one, Billy Bunda. Despite his name. Oh, you want to do that at the beginning?
Oh, I need to let people know that they can answer.
Okay, well, why don't you come up and do that quickly?
Okay, yep.
So we have a giveaway tonight.
We have a very
A naked giveaway.
naked Okay, who knows what a cento is? All right, I see about half the hands. All right. All right, so if you don't know or if you're wondering, all right, so in Japan, we have a piece of living history called the Sento, the public bath. This is a place where you can go and take a bath.
With other people.
Yes, with other people. It's not quite as nice or as large as a hot springs usually. They're all over Tokyo. They served a very important utilitarian purpose in the past when many apartments and houses did not have their own baths and such. They're a lot of fun to go to if you haven't before. And all of the public baths in Tokyo belong to the same union. They all charge the same price to get in, which is 550 yen. They also sell these discount passes, which typically cost about 500 yen a piece. I have too many of them, and they expire at the end of this month. So I'm giving away 2 of them. If you would like, for the princely sum of 500 yen, saving 500 yen, you can try out a public bath if you have not. Yes. So I am going to give away 2 of these tonight. And by the way, these are truly public utilities. Unlike many hot springs, they do allow people with tattoos and such. If you are interested in winning one of these, I will draw a name from that green box at the end of the night. So I will be over there. You can write down your name on a piece of paper and give it to me, and I will make a couple of drawings. And then you can go to the Sento.
Make a couple drawings of you in the Sento. No.
Yes. And that's it.
All right. All right. Now let me get to my introduction. Oops, I bumped the thing. So yeah, do that. All right. Despite his name, Billy Bunda is not actually a 90s direct-to-video action hero. He was raised and educated in Germany and has lived in Japan since 1996. Before his retirement in 2023, he was a professor at Tokai University, mechanical engineering at Shonan campus Hiratsuka. Side note, Hiratsuka is the first place I ever encountered a Kushiya Monogatari. If you don't know what that is, it's probably good for your heart. Your arteries aren't as clogged as mine. He presently works as a part-time teacher at Toyo University. His opinions on Kushiya Monogatari are unknown. And as are most of yours, apparently. All right, give it up for Billy. Where are you? There you are.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
So,
There's lots. Thanks. Yeah, I know. It's like switching over the game consoles. Switching from the Atari to the Nintendo.
okay, this is.
He doesn't have the clicker. You need the clicker.
So thank you. Okay, okay. So let's go.
Just jump on, yeah.
Okay. So I hope the microphone is working. Okay. So Billy Bunda is my name, and this 200 years of steam locomotive and its legacy, and it is more about a weird hobby today. But if you are an engineer, I have some message at the end of the talk. So. Let's start. Also here we always, at the theater group, we should make a citation of Shakespeare, to be or not to be. Shakespeare is so famous for his theater, for his dialogues, and so the question is, why are some literature everlasting while others are forgotten? And we ask the same question for this technical innovation. George Stephenson lived in Chesterfield in England, as many of the slides today are from England. Why are some technical innovations everlasting, why others are forgotten? So this, I took this picture from him in Chesterfield, and this was 1825, 200 years ago in October. The first steam locomotive ran from Darlington to Stockton, and at that time it was frontier technology, 50 kilometers an hour. Before were only horse carriages available. So this steam locomotive is now in a museum there in Darlington, and it was called locomotion. The two Latin word locus means the place, and motion the movement, so a moving place. I mean, the purpose is to go from one place A to place B, and this new technology made it much faster than before. And when we are talking about words, I'm a train enthusiast, and in English language they are called British, they are called train spotters, while in American railroad fan, and also the word for transport is transit in American English, so a little bit changed. And also before, and also iron horse is the other name for steam locomotives, because I mean before were only horses available, and if you in Hokkaido you can watch still a horse-driven tram locomotive there in the museum in Otaru, and this locomotive looked a little bit different from ours, and also the carriages, they would just put a horse-driven carriage onto the wheels, and this was the first train. And George Stephenson not only built the locomotive itself, but there was also a lot of infrastructure, like these iron bridges were first developed under his advice. So to travel across a valley needed much more stable structures. And I mean, this iron road is also in the Japanese language tetsudo, and the two kanjis of iron and road put together in American English railroad. And it was a self-stimulating cycle. To make steel you need ore and coal, and the new trains, they brought the ore and the coal together, and so the steam production could be much more efficient. And this was I'm sorry, this was too far. North of Birmingham there is the Black Country, and this had ore and iron and together, and I mean, it is called Black Country, not only because black coal is black, but because of the chimneys which made this region very famous. And some people say it is the motor of the industrialization at that time. After that, bicycles and automobiles could also develop. So this was start of a new age. And and if you go to Osaka Expo at the moment, you see also a steam locomotive in the Future City Pavilion. Some call it Society 2.0. Before was the agriculture reform, and after that came the electricity, and now we are in the age of digitalization, so the different stages of development. And the big steel companies, they put their logo on the steel rails. If you look carefully, I mean, the big American companies, they in Pittsburgh area, this was this prospering country there, and Germany, and in Japan the Shinnitetsu is very small logo. Now it is JFE if you look carefully, and also the number of the year. And Daido is a company in Nagoya area. So of course railways needed a lot of infrastructure. This is in Newcastle, north of England. It was the largest railway crossing, what they say. And in the 1960s, the diesel locomotives came, and so they were much more efficient, and a lot of railway lines also closed down because of more efficient transport. And so at the station of Newcastle, a whole part of the station was shut down and is now a parking lot for cars, and of course the crossing is much simplified. So this shows the problem of railways. The infrastructure is so costly, and but nevertheless, if you still travel to England, this is when you arrive from by high speed from with the Eurostar, you arrive at St. Pancras station, and this beautiful Victorian style architecture. There are many stations like this, about 20 in England, and so I hope you can enjoy this in St. Pancras. I was there last year, so very impressive structure. And in America, let's look to America. They had a lot of records. In 1892, there was the fastest train in the world, the Empire State Express from New York City to Buffalo with speed of 132 kilometers. So this was at that time the fastest railway train. And of course, here this large infrastructure, the roundhouses, they were needed to maintain the steam engines, so all are shut down. But in Japan, 2 roundhouses are converted into a museum in Kyoto, the famous railway museum, if you have a chance to visit there. And another record was the Big Boy, the largest steam engine ever built. It was 36 meters long, built 1941, and in 2018 there was a revival. One steam locomotive in this size was re-engineered again and is now traveling once or twice a year. It's in Cheyenne in Wyoming, so it is for climbing the steep gradient to the Rocky Mountains, so a very powerful engine. And then in May 1869 was the event called Golden Spike. The Central Pacific Railroad and the Union Pacific Railroad, one built from the east, one from the west, and they met together. So it was the first time that people could travel from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean, and this is also called as the start of the globalizations. So you could travel around the world, and so it's also a place to visit. In Japan, the development was a little bit later. So in 1854 in Europe, almost the whole railway network was connected, but Admiral Perry came to Ito Peninsula, and he tried to convince the emperor. It was Meiji emperor at that time, and they brought a model railway, a small-sized railway which had a steam locomotive, and this was to impress the emperor. And then Meiji area is also known as the industrialized age. And then in 1863, 5 engineers were allowed, Japanese engineers, to travel to England. And there's a famous movie, 2006. You can see they were almost lost in England, but finally they built a railway, and it opened in 1872 from Shimbashi to Yokohama. And also in Yokohama is this model, this rail engine displayed, and in Shimbashi too. So and the interesting side mark is that already at that time the space in Japan was very narrow, so they built a rail on a dam, so they could avoid to buy additional land for building the railway. And so this was also. And the question is now, why are so many railways still preserved, the heritage railways? Also, this is a picture from England, the Savannah Railway. So as a different than in a car or airplane, you can walk around on the train during the journey, and you can enjoy the video scenery, almost like a video, and of course talk to other people. It's a social gathering, and of course it brings back a lot of memories. So the heritage railways, they of course do promote this 200 years anniversary, which is this year, so very much so. And of course, there are many tourist trains. This is the Shakespeare Express from Birmingham to Stratford upon Avon. It travels about two times a year, so to connect the tourist places. And of course, many people not only go there to see the landscape, but they also go there to have a full course meal there in the train, and you can talk to your spouse and so on. So this is the main attraction. Also it is of course the full English breakfast. I should so say this. And Japan has the Monogatari, as Andre mentioned. The Banetsu Monogatari has now already also its 25th anniversary, and in Japan it brings revitalization of the rural areas. The tranquility of the landscape gets energized with all these railway fans who chase the train by car, and so it is a lot of fun to ride on this train. This has also a kind of panorama car to enjoy. This I took this picture last year in November. So this and of course many railway fans work together. Also we are a small group of Japanese railway fans, the Japanese Railway Society, about 30 active members, mainly from England, and they also welcome other tourist groups like this railway fans from Australia. They came in 2019, and it's always a great fun to go together there. So and this shows another event. This is a dairy farm in Narita Yume Bokucho. Also it's where mainly the children go for entertainment, to see the cows and the chicken and animals and so on. But they also have a small loop of a railway, only 1 kilometer long or so. But this group is very active. They are creating new steam engines, for just for fun, for originality. They built that. This is built from scratch, a steam engine, so and the children can enjoy riding on them. And we see here also, of course, the small ones for the children. This is on near Mount Fuji in Suzuno City. They have also a fan club who ride there. Also for children, if they see such a steam engine, which is not only noisy and powerful, but also some stuff comes out. The white stuff is the steam, and the black one is the smoke. So this is for a child very impressive. And of course, Walt Disney was also a railway fan. So in 1955 he opened the Disneyland, and then of course engine was built, 1.9 kilometer circle, and Disneyland in Japan also has a real steam engine. It's also fired by oil, and also the same mechanism as real steam engines. I took this picture in 2009, and England has the smallest rideable railway. Also the weather in England is very bad in November. It rains very often, but the people can ride in closed carriages, and you see the stuff is larger than the carriages, and the fireman needs to sit very squeezed in his cabin, but it works. And the same Romney Railway is also built in Japan in 1990 in a park in Shizuoka Prefecture, in a park ride 1.2 kilometers. But on usual working days they use only diesel engines because they are much more cheaper. And of course we also have already 80 years of Thomas and his friends, the children education book, and 50 years of the a National Railway Museum in York, in England. So these anniversaries are also this year. So and the Thomas engine you can also enjoy in Japan. It is in Oigawa Prefecture, an Oigawa railway line, which is in Shizuoka Prefecture, just between Tokyo and Nagoya, and about 20 steam locomotives running in Japan right now. Some unfortunately are already abandoned, like in Kumamoto they had a steam locomotive running, but this is was closed because the line was washed away by a typhoon already 5 years ago, and they are still looking for financial support to build up the line again. And in the meantime, the boiler ticket for the steam engine has run out, so they need to refurbish it again. And so, but also there are many chances to see a steam engine in Japan too. And now this is from America, the Strasbourg Railway in Pennsylvania, and they I show this picture because also this is actually also a farm which has about 10-kilometer railway line for putting the agriculture goods to the main line, and they started with this steam locomotive operation, but they also had another idea to put a video camera there. So this is the newest development, live video camera, so you can see this picture on your screen at home, on your PC, and at the other point of the line too, so you can see how the steam locomotive then runs around the train. And also this is called virtual railfan, and there are now about 50 cameras around America where you can find mainline steam. So steam trains are actually only on 2 cameras, so but the really railfans, they also look for the diesel engines. And then in England they have now also, it started a little bit later, 2010, so they have now about also 50 cameras, and in England they have much more steam trains. Also on almost all camera you could find once in a while a steam train. So this is in York, where the National Railway Museum is built. So, and especially in 2020, when during the COVID epidemic, this rail viewing was very popular. So, also, and the idea is bring the lines height to your armchair. So, also especially for elderly people who are with restricted mobility, they can have a connection to the real world and enjoy the movement or the moment of joy when the train passes without the burdens of traveling. So also it is very famous for them, and what you see there you want to go. This is another idea. Also the heritage railways, they noticed that when people see it on the screen, then families and go there for also enjoying the ride with their families. So this had win-win connection, and also this was backwards. So, and then the rail camera in UK, they had another idea to connect it with the chat room. So also you see the picture from the camera. One landowner, of course, have to give the permission to put the camera there, and then another location with another camera, and then you see the train moving from one location to the other, and then the people in the chat room, they talk to each other, when can we expect the next train on which location, and with the geodata you can see the train moving, and then this is very a good conversation in the chat room. You need one language, one culture, one etiquette. In the beginning they had it open for everybody, but this was too disturbing, so then they restricted it only to the users. And so this is about 200 people or so are chatting every time. And I mean, similar cameras are also available for watching wildlife in America. We talked about Venice. This is a famous tourist place. They want to see how many tourists are there at the moment. Or weather cameras for the surfers on the beach, and traffic cameras, of course. And the airplane fans, they automatically have a GPS signal, so for them it's also very famous. So I mean, I'm almost at the end of my talk. And one location, it is inclines, so where the steam locomotive really has to work very hard. And if you see different steam locomotives, you hear the sound from each one is different. So the people who are enjoying the different locomotives, then they enjoy it very much. And one heritage railway sent a guest locomotive to the other one, and so there's always something new coming up for the railway fans. So this is a lot of joy. And if you have a chance, in 2nd of August in Derby is the main event of the 200 years anniversary, so many railway cameras come together. So the conclusion of this talk, railways, steam locomotives is a surviving technology, and it lost its function because it's not efficient anymore and too expensive, but it has still so many fans, still appreciate it very much as it touches something deeper. They may make us feel and remember and connect. Other surviving technologies are shown here. But the empathic technologies, they like to take this idea forward, and instead of just making life more efficient, they try to make life more human. This smiling train on the turbo line. So this is why such technologies survive. So thank you very much for listening. This is the acknowledgement of the companies which I mentioned in the talk. Thank you so much.
Okay, so it's on, but it's not on. There we go. That was pretty hot. Well, let's turn the gain down on that, huh? Okay, so do we have any questions? And I won't stand in front of that speaker again with a hot mic as I'm trying to turn it on. Any questions? Gray. Okay, but Gray can ask their question.
So, the original train was pulled by a horse?
No, the horse trains were also, this was older technology, but then George Stephenson was the first one who built a real steam, powered by steam, which made moving forward. It didn't need a horse, so this was his invention actually. That by it is called the Carnot machine. The expansion of the steam pulls the cylinder forward, and this makes the motion of the locomotive. So this was his great invention.
I wanted to say, sorry, with the rail cart with the horse, what was the benefit to the rails as opposed to a road? The large advantage of railways, if there's a steel wheel on a steel track running, then the friction is much less than in a muddy
horse carriage, ne? So muddy horse carriage is inefficient. And so even in an automobile car with rubber wheels, you lose a lot of traction due to the expansion of the rubber. Ne? So steel is much more efficient, ne? No friction at all. Ne? So this makes it so energy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Melvin, behind you.
Oh, well, thank you for the talk. A very, I don't know, broad question. Say, like at peak efficiency, how many kilometers could one of these steam trains cover before it became too expensive to just carry too much coal, just to make it run, like, you know, a bit longer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not prepared for this question, but usually about 100 kilometers is such a distance. And I mean, in remote places like in South Africa, they had the special steam locomotives where they had the problem that they, in dry areas you need a lot of water to run the steam engine, and so they tried to take the steam which comes out of the chimney and kind of recycle it, but this called condenser machines, but they were a little bit inefficient and very hard to maintain, so they didn't really brought a new technology. But I mean, about 200 kilometers was about the distance which was achievable.
Thank you.
Mm.
So thank you for your talk. So I'm interested in like the railway tracks in particular. So what do you think, like what kind of like steel that was used in making the railway tracks, and how is it how does it differ from like modern techniques per se? Like there's a lot of like 200-300 years of maybe difference. So what has changed during that time as well?
Yeah, also if you live in Japan, the most famous example for steel is of course the sword of the samurai. This was very old technology already, but the physics is almost the same. It's about 0.45% carbon which hardens the steel, the iron. So the C45 is the usual. This has the peak in the strength of the steel. So I mean, you can modify the steel by adding magnesium, molybdenum, or so, but the basics is still the same. 0.45% carbon makes the hardening of the steel, and also there are different kinds of steel. The cast iron, where you put the molten steel into a cast mold. This is for complicated structures, or like the sword was also like this. And then the martensitic hardening, where you cool down the steel very fast. This gives the hardest strength, but on the other hand, it is brittle, so it fractures very easily, and so that's why you make a more how to say a combination of both. So also you anneal it a little bit later, so it has a compromise between the high strength and the brittleness. So you try to balance it out. So. Yeah, this is all stuff which I taught at the university, but I'm retired already for 2 years, so I almost forgotten it. So,
Any other questions? I got one. So can you talk a little bit about the safety records of steam locomotives? Because my understanding is they had a tendency to explode.
Yes, this was in the early ages. They were experimenting a lot, and then, of course, the most unsafe condition is when the pressure inside the boiler is too high, and so of course the first thing what they did, they put a safety valve. So if the pressure exceeds a certain limit, then it releases all the pressure. So sometimes when the fireman did too much work or the steam locomotive suddenly had to stop at a red signal, then he heated up the boiler and then he could not use his energy, and then it releases it all in the air by opening the security valve. So I mean, this was about in the early ages, 100 years after the steam locomotive were invented. They had this security valves already, and sometimes you can hear it. It's very loud release of noise when the I mean, it's a waste of energy, but it happens sometimes. So.
Would you say their tolerance for that kind of danger was higher then than it is now?
So of course now there are strict regulations, and the boiler tickets. This is like for a car you need to go to the MOT in England, or in Japan it's called shakin, where you have to check all the whether it is corroded or not, and so the same problem of course with the steam engine, and it's very costly to repair a steam engine. It's about Nana Juman something like that to get the new ticket for I mean, they check all the pipes whether they are corroded or and the joints. The main technology to make a boiler is to have a revelet. You cannot use a glue or anything, and revelets are made from forged steel to connect two plates of iron together, and so it might need to be tight, and there should no steam should come out of. If a maintenance is poor, you see steam leaking there at some steam engines, and they are not well maintained. But if they are in good conditions, and also I forgot to say, in England there are so many railway fans, so they built new steam engines in 2008. The Tornado was a new steam engine built in 2008, and I didn't show one slide. This movie from Tom Cruise, the Mission Impossible, the one before 2017, they used the steam engine for the movie, and it was newly built, but just to see the steam coming out and so on. So. Yeah, a lot of things are going on in this is a kind of subculture there, that so many railway fans are loving the steam engines to see them move, and so.
I think my question was more about our tolerance for risk in terms of like transportation modes comparing now to then. Like I just mentioned this because we had one of the SpaceX things exploded this week.
Oh, so
Cybertrucks are, I mean, some of them have been encouraged to explode, shall we say, but they do have a tendency to explode on their own as well. Do you feel like is it just because it's in the news, but do you feel like our tolerance has increased or like decreased, or is it about the same and we're willing to put up with some exploding vehicles when it's a new technology?
I mean, of course, steam engines is now old technology, so they know where the critical issues are, and so. But one issue was recently is that in old train cars you can open the door at any time, but there are now regulations that while a train is moving, the door should be shut, and so one of the heritage railways, they refused to build in this door locking system, but then I mean the regulator lost his patience, and so they stopped this particular train. It was the Harry Potter train in Scotland, and so they were in trouble, and then finally they installed a door locking system because of safety reasons.
I see. It's a shame because there's a lot of stunts you can do if you can open the door mid-trip. Anyway, Billy, thank you so much. Can I get a big hand for Billy?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna take a break. Melvin will help you take that off.
Okay.
We're gonna take a quick break, like 15, maybe 20 minutes. So use the washroom, buy drinks, maybe, and we'll be back in that time with our next speaker. So let's hit the music.
Oh, little boy, little girl, little person, little jumpsuit wearing sequins. Well, it's time to stop your midnight driving and put your dancing shoes away. A little woman, little man, little grown up, little platform wearing disco fan. It's time to stop your late night shaking. It's the end of a long dancing day. This is a disco. This is a disco lullaby. Lay down your funky head. It's time to go to sleep now. Go get tucked into bed. Your daddy and your mommy will boogie shake their bunnies at the disco scene. But first they'll tuck you into bed and you'll disco in your dreams. Disco dreams. Oh, little boy, little girl, little person, little jumpsuit wearing sequins. Well, it's time to stop your midnight jiving and put your dancing shoes away. A little woman, little man, little grown up, little platform wearing disco fan. It's time to stop your late night shaking. It's the end of a long dancing day. This is a disco. This is a disco lullaby. Lay down your funky head. It's time to go to sleep now. Go get tucked into bed. Your daddy and your mommy will boogie shake their bunnies at the disco scene. But first they'll tuck you into bed and you'll disco in your dreams. Disco dreams. Good night, you'll be alright in your disco dreams.
Number 4 is the secret. Oh, right, we're back. You know, it's weird not having the microphone stand tonight. I have no hands free. I know it's there, but I'm too lazy. Thanks, Melvin. Right, so what are we doing? Welcome back. Let's see the next slide. Remember, the next Nerd Night is July 18th. Hey, it's our friends at Tokyo Humanities Cafe. Well, it's not. It's a picture of Tokyo Tower, and it says, you can see it. I'm not going to do the alt text for this. I'm sorry. There's a QR code there. They do events here. I don't know when their next one is. They haven't told me. But if you go there, it'll take you to their Facebook page. And if there is an event coming up, it'll probably be listed there. It's funny how those things work, huh? All right. Why don't we do the next one? Space Cafe. It's usually at Good Heavens Pub. I think it's always at Good Heavens Pub. Go back. Oh, it's probably on a timer because there used to be another thing there. Just thank you. Yeah, they do kind of what we do, but it's always about space. So if you're into space, go to Space Cafe. I also don't know when their next event is, and I think that at Space Cafe Tokyo is unfortunately on the X platform. Maybe they have a Mastodon you can try, but I don't know what server. I don't know what instance they're on. But you can check them out. They're cool, and that's a little rocket I made. I didn't make it. All right, next slide. So, blah, blah, blah. This is the part I have to read off here. Nerd Nite Tokyo is produced by the Yokohama Theater Group, or YTG. YTG is a registered nonprofit and is the beneficiary of any net income Nerd Nite is able to produce. So we've started rehearsals for our new show. It's called Anxiety. I will alt text that. It's a little hard to read at this size on this screen. It is a surreal psychological horror play by actor and writer Davian Tynarius Brown. He's come all the way from South Carolina to work on this. Actually, prior to that, he came all the way from Australia to South Carolina and then to Japan. So that's a lot of hopping. It is going to be brought to life by the YTG team, which includes our performance ensemble. And it also includes Mackenzie, who's sitting, does not like being pointed out. I'm getting the vibe that doesn't like me to point her out. Who's going to be helping design the projection and set stuff with me, and the man with the blue hair in front of me, whose name is Alex, who's going to be doing costume stuff, and who also apparently doesn't like being pointed out in a crowd. Sorry, guys. Yeah, we also have 2 Broadway designers working on the show. Just it's going to drop that name drop. I didn't drop their names though. It's top secret. You can find it on the website. We just launched the web page today. So if you see any show-stopping bugs, please let me know. If you just see the fact that the ticket things aren't aligned, I can't fix that. That's the ticketing provider. They can go get stuff. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. So we're a nonprofit, and we choose our shows primarily based on what I like to call the high-risk, low-reward model of artistic creation. These shows don't get made if we don't do them, because they are high-risk, low-reward. We choose our shows based on artistic merit and process, what kind of process we can have. So this show is about one character who's confronted by his anxieties. The anxieties are played by sort of a kind of like Greek chorus group of people who represent those, and we're doing a bunch of work on that. Anyway, tickets are now on sale. You can find them on the website. If you can't get that QR code, the website is really easy to remember. It's YTG.jp, and then from there you can just click through and find Anxiety. I mean the play, not things. I had anxiety making it, but you will not receive anxiety from going to the website. You'll also have opportunities there to make donations. When you buy your ticket, you can buy a more expensive ticket than you need to. You'll see when you look at the thing. Anyway, they support the company in making this project and many others. Right. Let's move on to, hopefully, good. It's the slide I was expecting. Gekko Patria. Cooking is just applied chemistry. So says this guy, who is not an adorable lizard, but an adorable human who is originally from Jakarta, Indonesia. He moved to Japan at age 18, older than most geckos live, little known fact, again proving that he is not a lizard. He's currently affiliated with the University of Tokyo's SQAI Research Group and Quimix, is that how you pronounce it? Quimix, Inc., a quantum algorithm startup. He earned his doctorate from Science Tokyo, formerly Tokyo Institute of Technology, in 2023. Also something that very few lizards do, adding to the evidence that he does not hang out on windows eating flies. Beyond research, he enjoys reading, cooking, and exercise, running, tennis, swimming, etc. These are not the pursuits of a lizard, but of a human. So please put your hands together and welcome Gekko to the stage, fully human.
So, thank you.
All right, let me switch over.
Is this mic on?
It is, and let me just switch to your presentation, which will take
Okay.
a sec. And do I swipe right or do I swipe left? I'm guessing right. Left.
Nope. Yep. And
Make sure the clicker works.
nope.
Try
There you go.
Wait, try again.
Try again.
Yeah, okay.
Oops. How do you go back, by the way?
Back is up.
Back is up and okay.
There, yeah.
There you go.
Kinda
Thank you.
counterintuitive.
Thank you. So I'm going by my middle name, by the way, Patria. And if anyone has difficulties, no problem. Difficulties spelling it or remembering it, it's basically just patriarchy without the archy. So I'm going with that one. And yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Good evening. And for this presentation, I actually invited my foodie friends over there. So Jesus Christ. Chill out, man. Jesus Christ. So, so yeah, thank you for coming. Hopefully you're having a good time. Thank you. So, well, the presentation is titled Quantum AI for Sustainability, but as I was preparing the materials, I realized that, well, most people don't really understand what AI is, and most people have no idea what quantum is, so I'm kind of screwed here. So here's what we're going to do today. Okay, that works. Instead of directly discussing the intersections between the two fields, I think I'm going to start with introductions, or at least reintroductions of what AI is in my own word. And then afterwards, I'm going to ease into the quantum world. So that's chapter 2, let's say. And then after that, only after that, we're going to talk about the intersections between the two. So that's our agenda today. And obviously, our discussion today will only be the tip of the iceberg. And for scientists and engineers and practitioners in the crowd, you're not going to get a lot of new information here. We got scientific conference for that. So, well, let's get started with the first chapter. I titled it The Creations of, instead of Adam, it's AI. So, well, Michelangelo, 16th century, fresco painting, The Creations of Adam. And so, in this painting, Michelangelo asked, or at least explored, a very interesting questions, a very important questions, perhaps the most important questions, and that is what makes us, well, human. And more specifically, what gives our intelligence? What is the source of our intelligence? And so, whatever the source is, Michelangelo noticed correctly that, well, it will the carrier of that intelligence will be in our brain. So this pink curvy shape is actually a cross-section of a human brain. But limited by the science of his time, he didn't really know what is in the brain that gives us our intelligence. And so he painted these godlike entities. But today we know it's just a vast network of neural cells. And through the painstaking labors of evolutions, that takes millions or billions of years of optimizations. So we are where we are today. We've become a being that can manipulate light, that can manipulate sound, that can manipulate energy, and so on and so forth. So that's us. So using the same painting, I would like to explain what AI is. So that's our first start with AI. So instead of Adam, instead of us human being, we have ChatGPT or Gemini or Cloud or what have you, or I don't know, DeepSeek or what have you. It's any artificial agents, let's say. And well, what is the carrier of their intelligence? The carrier of their intelligence is just the raw AI models. These are the ones that you can download it if it is open source, like Llama from Meta or Facebook, Kuhan from Alibaba, or DeepSeek R1. It's actually an open source model. So you can just download it and just see how AI models run. So what's in here? There's no godlike entities in the middle as well, by the way. So in the middle is just a bunch of mathematics, so it's just a bunch of calculations. And so unfortunately, I'll have to discuss a little bit about mathematics, so hopefully everyone here is good at their math. Everyone here is good at math? Raise your hand if you're bad at mathematics. Okay, 1, 2, 3, okay. So it's fine because I have to raise my hand as well, especially as a scientist, I'm not very good at math. But there's this very cool saying from Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer that says that, well, math is like a piece of music, so it's not important. It's not necessarily important that you can read it or you can write it. What is important is that you can hear it. So let's listen to the music of artificial intelligence. And fortunately, the music is very easy as well. It's a popular music. It's very easy to digest. So this is the math behind AI. It's just a bunch of multiplications and additions. This is like 70%, 80% of calculation in artificial intelligence is just a bunch of multiplications and additions. So you can solve this, right? Everyone can solve this, hopefully. So 3 times 2 is 6, plus 5, plus 21 is, wait, it's 32. I practiced that pause, by the way. Sorry. So, well, the number itself, doesn't have any meaning. It's just an arbitrary random numbers that I pick. But I think you get the point. You get the visualizations of what AI does behind the scene. It's basically just a bunch of these multiplications and additions. But how do you get ChatGPT from here? Well, the key is to scale up these calculations tremendously. And let me show you how to do that. Well, first thing first, some numbers are marked in red and some numbers are marked in blue. So the first thing that I will do is to separate those two. And don't worry, the calculations doesn't change at all. It's still 3 times 2 plus 5 times 1 plus 7 times 3. It's still the same calculations. It's just a different way to write it down. And so the red ones, let's call it parameters, and the blue ones, let's call it data or data points. And so as we want to scale this one up, it means that we want more and more data points, and we want more and more parameters. And this column of number, well, let's start with the data points. This column of number, this column of blue number, represents something. It may be a word, it may be the word I. And so as we want to scale this thing up, we just add two more words. This is AI joke, by the way, I am alive. And am has its own column of number, and alive has its own column of number. But the calculation itself is still the same. It's still 3 times 5 plus 5 times 7 plus 7 times 1, which we can solve if we're trying to solve it. And the same thing with the alive thing as well. So it's still the same thing, but instead of just one of these calculations, now we have 3. And we just add more parameters. Now instead of 3, we have 9. So we're already scaling up from 1 calculations to now 9 calculations. And it turns out if you get a billion, hundreds of billions of parameters and hundreds of billions of data, and you go to the painstaking labor of training them, then you'll get your artificial intelligence. And here, training is basically just pick the best parameters for a given data set. That's what training is. And a very simple algorithm is shown here. Well, given parameters and given data set, we can calculate some output, right? From the previous slide, we saw the output was 32. One of the output was 32. So, well, given this set of output, we ask a metric that we pick ourselves whether this output is good enough or not. If it's good enough, then you're done. You're done with your AI training. But if it's not good enough, you pick better parameters. And you do this over and over and over until you get a good enough set parameters that gives good enough outputs for certain metrics and for a certain data set. That's what training is. So training, in a very simple way, is just, pick the best parameters for this current task. And so with that information, we've complete our painting, the creations of AI. So basically, there's math as the source of its intelligence. And instead of evolutions, now we have training. And it turns out training process requires insane amount of calculations. So, well, It's very hard to see, but basically this chart is just showing that every year we need 10 times more energy than last year to train major AI models. So this year will be 10 times more energy than last year, and next year it will be 100 times energy than last year. And so this, this scaling up of artificial models also requires scaling up of energy productions. And the solutions today is basically, just build more power generators closer to the data centers. So that's why a lot of tech companies now investing a lot in nuclear power plants, in other power generating technologies as well. So if you read the news, why suddenly Microsoft investing in nuclear power plants, and that will be the reason. So that's the first chapter, that's the creations of AI. So we're going to enter the second chapter, entirely different conversations, but I think we have some time for a little bit of break. This is quantum memes, actually. So well, the left one is so true, because every sci-fi movies, you just slap the word quantum and fix any plot holes that you have in the movie. And the right one is a public service announcements. If no matter how cute they are, if they start mentioning quantum healing, be a man, be a woman, and block them. So that's today's public service announcements. It's very hard to see from the behind, but yeah, that's basically that picture. So let's get serious again. The first thing that you have to know about quantum is that it's a physics of small. So us is, well, our scale is around 1 to 2 meters. That's the scale that we're very familiar with. So if you take the sun, the diameter of the sun, and you multiply it by 10 times, then you have something that is 10 billion larger than us. So that's 10 times of the diameter of the sun. So if you go the other way, atom is 10 billion smaller than us. So it's really, really small. And it turns out quantumness, quantum properties, quantum mechanics is only observed around this scale, so 10 billion of a meter. So it's really, really small. So in our scale, we never see any quantum behavior or properties. So that's the first thing that you have to know about quantum. And quantum is very weird. This is also the second. This is the second thing that you have to know about quantum. So imagine you're driving a car, and you're pushing the gas pedal, and you're pushing it, and you're pushing it, and you're pushing it, and you look at the speedometers. So this is, well, if you're driving a good old classical car, this is what you'll see in the speedometers, right? So basically, the needles smoothly move to 60, to 80, to 100, and to 120. Hopefully, people in the behind can see that. But let me play that again. So it moved from 40 smoothly to 60, to 80, to 100, and to 180, 120. So that's what we expect to see when we're driving a car and we're pushing the gas pedal. But say there's a quantum car. There's no such thing as quantum car, by the way. It's just the way to visualize it. But say there's a quantum car, and you're driving that quantum car, and you're pushing the gas pedal on that quantum car. So this is what you're going to see on the speedometers of this quantum car. So it stays at 40, immediately jump to 60, immediately jump to 80, immediately jump to 100, 120. So let me play that again. From 40, jump to 60, jump to 80, jump to 100, and jump to 120. So you see, classical physics is continuous. So you can divide it to a smaller and smaller thing. So there is something in between 10 and 11. There is 10.5. There is 10.55. There is 10.555. So you can divide it smaller and smaller and smaller. But quantum physics is discrete. In fact, the word quantum itself means discrete. And so you can only be either on X or on Y. There is no such thing as in between X and Y. So you can imagine it's like a ladder. when you're using a ladder, you're either on, step number 1 or you're step number 2. There's no such thing as step number 1.5, So that's what quantum is, and that's why quantum is quite weird. It's very unintuitive because we've never observed it. Holy shit, I'm going to use it like this, okay? So quantum is, the last thing that you have to know about quantum is that it's wave-like. So I wrote pen there, but let's use this clicker instead. So imagine I'm holding this pen like this, right? This is my shoulder. This is my hand. That's my shoulder and my hand. And so the classical physics, the rule is you can see of the object. You're allowed to see the object. So I'm holding it like this, and I'm looking at the object. And one of you probably asked me, where is the clicker, Patria, right? Where is the clicker? And I can say to you with 100% confidence, because I'm looking at the object, that, well, my clicker is at the tip of my hand. With 100% confidence. That's the figure, that's the chart on the left. It means that I have 100% confidence in saying it to you that, well, my clicker is in the tip of my hand. So that's classical physics. Well, quantum physics is very different. The first rule of quantum physics is you're not allowed to see the clicker. So you're not allowed to see the clicker. You're not allowed to see the clicker. So if any of you ask me, where is the clicker? So my only answer is, I don't know. I'm not allowed to see the clicker. So what we do is we guess. Given that, well, I know my shoulder is here, and I know my hand is here, so if you try to find that clicker, there is a better chance of finding it around this area than in this area. Let me repeat that again. There is a better chance of finding it in this area than in this area. There is a better chance of finding it in this area than in this area. So that's why quantum is wave-like, because it's governed by wave functions, and we cannot see anything. And so what we're doing is we're guessing. And so one way to interpret this is that, well, because we're not seeing it, the pen can be anywhere in between my hand and my shoulder. It's just with different probability. So if I look 100 times, there will be, well, at least based on this chart, there will be a 40% chance of it being in the tip of my hand, but there will be non-zero chance, lesser chance, but non-zero chance of it's being here, or it's being here, or it's being here. So anywhere around this area. But so that's quantum physics as well. So it's wave-like because it's governed by wave function. So quantum computing, I don't want to introduce it like qubits and quantum algorithms and all that, but basically quantum computing is just a computer that uses all this quantum goodness, all these quantum properties. So it uses very small stuff like an atom or photons to create discrete energy level. Discrete energy levels is basically just that jumping of the speedometers. So from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3, there's no such thing as 0.5. That allow vast and efficient computations of waves. So that's what quantum computers is. Quantum computer is. It's just a computer that uses all quantum goodness. So that's the second chapter. So this is going to be the last chapter. This is actually my field, which is the intersections between the two. So the convergence between the first chapter, which is artificial intelligence, and quantum physics. And so, we're going back, we're back here again. So basically, the current problems of the current AI workflow is that it requires an insane amount of calculations, and it requires an insane amount of energy consumptions. So the idea here is very, very simple. It's just, well, you have this new awesome quantum computers. Why don't use it for anywhere in AI workflow? But in order to do so, you have to change the kernel. You have to change the mathematics behind it. So that's basically the general idea of the convergence between the two fields. But, well, why? Why do we want to do this? Well, because for a certain operation, running an algorithms on quantum computers is much more efficient than running it on classical computers. So this chart here, the y-axis is showing the cost of running an algorithm called Fourier transform, which is a very famous algorithm, by the way. So the y-axis showing the cost, and the x-axis is the length of data. So meaning that in this area, the data is longer and longer and longer as you go to the right, and as you go upward, the cost is higher and higher and higher. And the red lines is the cost of running that Fourier transform algorithm on classical computer, and the blue one is the cost of running that same algorithm on quantum computers. You can see here how when you're running it using quantum computers, it scales better. Meaning that, well, at the beginning, the difference is there, but it's not that big. But as you go bigger and bigger and bigger data, then you can feel that gain when you're running it using quantum computers. So meaning that quantum computers, when you're running a certain algorithm, it scales better. So that's why. So basically what I'm doing like every day is just I'm trying to find operations that AI requires. Operations that AI requires that have some advantage if we're running it on quantum computers. That's it. So there are a lot of different operations that is used in AI. I've shown you one of them, which is a matrix vector multiplications. But there are other things as well. And we're trying to find an algorithm that has some advantage if we're running it on a quantum computer. And well, I think I found one, which is I call it the GT algorithm, which is I picked GT because it feels fast. I don't know. It's like a car, GT car, right? Grand Touring or something like that. So I just pick a GT algorithm, which is I think just sounds cool. So well, for fellow scientists and engineers, this is the only informational slides probably. So GT algorithms is a lightweight adaptive transform framework that works on classical computer with even greater potential when implemented on quantum platforms. So exactly what we want. And this is the definitions, the mathematical definitions behind the GT algorithm. That large X is the output, that small x is the input, the p's are the trainable parameters, and different f's are just different transforms that you can choose. And so this is the general idea of how you use GT for machine learning. So you use it for feature extraction. And you see here, well, GT perform better than the classical one, but compared to transformer, it's still, it's still not that good. But if you see the energy consumptions, it's actually 4 times less than if we're running it using transformer, which is a very costly model. And well, these are the properties of the GT algorithms. And if you want to check it out, just Google general transform machine learning or general transform AI and put patriarchy without the archy, and I think you'll find somewhere. You'll find it on archive. And so, well, this is the last slide. Sorry. So currently, quantum hardware. So I'm selling it too hard, probably, but quantum hardware today is not more sustainable than classical computer, because quantum hardware right now is very small. So, but it scales better, meaning that if we're building larger and larger quantum computer, there will be a point where it flips, where quantum computers now become more efficient, more sustainable than the classical computers. So that's the putting everything down to the earth again. So that's basically it from me. That's my presentations, and thank you for your time, and thank you for your attention.
Patria, thank you so much. Yeah, do we have any questions? From the shy man at the back?
Okay.
Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you were heading there. Yeah, no, go ahead. No, it's fine. He's too shy anyway.
Thank you for the presentation. It was really interesting.
Thank you.
What do you think is the most misunderstood thing about AI?
I think, yeah, it's very good questions. I think a lot of people don't really know how it works, and that's a problem because just like Michelangelo, if we don't know how it works, we're trying to paint godlike entities, and that's dangerous. And so that's the reasons why I made that slide. I want to put everything back to the earth, that AI is just a bunch of multiplications and additions. It's not only that, but 80% of them are. And so it's just a huge calculator, and it's a smart calculator. It's an expensive one, but it's still a calculator. And it's not, I'm not saying that it's not useful as well. It is going to be very useful. And I'm not saying that, some jobs wouldn't lose or something like that. It's just, it's not an all, godlike entities. That's probably the that's probably the first thing that I will say. Is that answering your questions?
Yeah, yes, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
If you ever ask it to like figure out time zones or something, it constantly ask it to do some simple math, like some simple arithmetic, and it frequently gets it wrong.
Yep.
All right, the shy man.
Oh, jeez.
I'm so shy. I'm so sorry. I'm always obsessed about the ethics of AI moving forward. And what do you wish people would know about in terms of ethics, the AI, especially the progression of AI? Because a lot of people are worried about their jobs and worried about their place in the world. This going forward, what do you wish you could communicate to people going forward?
Okay. Obviously, like every technology, we're going to have to develop this very carefully. And it is very hard to discuss anything about ethics because we don't know the future. So who's to say that my presentations today will not inspire any of you to invent a Terminator or a robot killing machine? So if 50 years from now we're debating whether I'm ethical to be here, it's very hard to say. And so, well, at least my perspective on this, I don't know if this is going to answer your questions, but my perspective is, well, everything that we do in life is just a bunch of bets. So for example, you sir, you're sitting there, you're betting that that sofas wouldn't collapse on you, and we're here, we're betting that this roof wouldn't collapse on us. So I feel like, at least as a scientist in this field, we're betting at, well, it's probably not today, it's probably not tomorrow, but the good in people will win eventually. We're basically just knife makers. So we're tool makers. We're people making knives. And if we believe that if we give this knife to a lot of people wouldn't start stabbing each other in the head right now. That's our bet. So that's a bet that knife makers make, and that's a bet that at least most scientists also think that scientists that invent other things as well. It's not only us. So yeah, that's I don't know. It's the ethics part is very hard, but obviously we have to be careful. But by the end of the day, it's a bet. So yeah, that's the best that I can answer.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. Really curious about one thing though. So you mentioned that not necessarily this contributes to sustainability at first because we probably is not there yet.
Yep.
But I was wondering, so to build this hardware or to build this quantum thing, how would it, I don't know, contribute to emissions and how it can reduce the emissions of globally?
Yeah. Thank you for the questions. Yeah, I'm not dealing with a lot of quantum hardware as well, so the honest answer to that question is just I don't know. But it is true that quantum hardware today is actually much less efficient than your good old GPU. But yeah, the answer is I don't know. But obviously we're going to spend some energy trying to build them. But hopefully, if we're reaching that area where quantum computer now better than classical computer, then we're going to have a better running cost. So it's a long-term investment, and just like any science, basically. But yeah, it's a long-term investment, and other than that, I don't really know.
Just follow-up question, but is there any like a very different approach than let's say that thank you. Just a follow-up. But you mentioned that right now it's quite hard, but I wanted to know like which part of it that have a very different approach that can really lead to sustainability. Like, does quantum computing or quantum XAI can generate a circular model instead of a linear model for any calculations, basically, or like energy production, or what kind of implementation that would be very interesting for sustainability? That's what I'm asking, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. So I mentioned that quantum computers use very small stuff. So there are different small stuff. There are atoms, there are photons, and there are electrons as well. So right now, quantum computers still, we don't have the standard way to make it. So classical computers, CPU, GPU, everything is silicon. Everything is silicon. Silicon wafer, that's why TSMC is so, it's a very rich company because everything is silicon. But quantum computers is plural. There are different types of them. There's photonic quantum computers. There's superconducting quantum computers. There are neutral atom quantum computers. There are a lot of different bunch of quantum computers. As I see it right now, superconducting computers is the ones that is, one of the largest one. So what we want is we want a large enough quantum computers. So superconducting and neutral atom are the ones that is in the lead. But they're not very good in terms of sustainability because they need this cryogenic, they need this huge fridge basically to cool them down, to cool those CPU down, just like we need a cooling down system for GPU as well. But photonic quantum computers is the one that is very, very low cost. But today it's only 1 qubit. It's only one. Whereas superconducting is already reaching 100,000. So there's that debate. So which one? So is this photonic, we're scaling up quickly enough that we can use them, like in terms of applications, or we have to settle with this less than ideal answers, but that will work for the next at least 20 years before photonic quantum computers come around. So yeah, so that's basically, I don't know if it's answering your question. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks for the talk.
Thank you.
I'm a bit familiar with AI myself, and there are two main axes for getting bigger models and better models. One is the computing power and the size of the model,
yes.
And one is just the sheer amount of data that you can feed it. You've talked a lot about how quantum can help with enhancing the speed of the calculation. Can it help with the storage of the data and the model?
Thank you for the questions. Today, there is no such thing as quantum storage. There is no quantum RAM. There is, but it's very small. It's very hard to save anything quantum. So quantum is very fragile. So one thing that I mentioned to you is you're not allowed to see it. But from time to time you see it. So once you see it, it's not quantum anymore. It's become classical. So to maintain those rules is very hard to do. And so what you do when you're doing quantum computations is you make it and then you pass it through as soon as possible. You pass the calculation through as soon as possible and you get the information as soon as possible. And so saving it, it's very hard. actually running it is also hard because of that interference, and because some random people looking at the thing that you don't want to look. And so the storage part is, I don't see it in a very near future, at least 10 years or so. But you see, to your point, like, it's not only like the calculation size, but also the data points is also important. So there are a lot of research in that area as well. How can we sample from this Hilbert space? The quantum computer space is called Hilbert space, by the way, that increase exponentially with the number of qubits. And how can we sample them so that it can be used for classical AI, actually? And so there are a lot of research in that area as well. I'm not really deep into it. I'm more like I want to make things faster. And so, yeah. So, but there are a lot of discussions in that field as well, sir. So, yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think we got time, maybe two more. So
2 more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So thank you for your talk. The nexus between quantum and AI, could you give us some concrete examples how you think you can anticipate in the future that would, what sort of results they would produce in the world, in our lives, that would have a large impact? The outcomes of that nexus of those two things?
I'm more like a pessimist in that regards, actually. I think the role of quantum computers is more to make AI better, but instead of to create something like godlike, there's something that we haven't achieved yet. Because you see, everything that quantum computer can calculate can be done on classical computer as well. It's just, for example, there are a lot of talk about cracking the Shor algorithm. Encryption, yeah.
Encryption.
Cracking the encryption problem. So that encryption problems can be solved with classical computer. It just takes billions of years. With quantum computers, it takes months, meaning that the computations itself is still the same. But for a certain computation, it's just, quantum is just much better because we can manipulate it, in parallel. That's how we say it. And so if we think it like that, then it will not, incorporating quantum to AI will not change the trajectory of AI itself. It will make it better. It will make it less polluting. It will make it less energy consumptive. But yeah, I'm quite a pessimist in this regard. So yeah.
I do have a question. You asked a question already, right?
Oh, you haven't. No, he hasn't. He hasn't.
Okay, fine.
So thank you for your talk. So I work in materials. So I see a lot of talks like quantum computing from material engineering point of view.
Yeah, lovely.
So I just wanted to know your opinions about like the recent talks about like a new quantum chips, like from Microsoft or like Google, like. So what do you think about those kind of like new material paradigms?
Yeah, yep. I think Google is still superconductors, right? But Microsoft Majorana particles, I don't know about that. If any of you like is working on in Microsoft, I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but I don't know. Majorana particles is quite exotic, and it hasn't been reproducible by anyone. So I don't know what they're measuring as well. There are a lot of discussions about what they're actually measuring, whether it's just an electron current, which is not quantum, it's classical, or like truly quantum properties, that jumping of the speedometers. So I don't know. Well, I'm not putting them down as well. This is science. This is frontier science. We don't know until someone's reproducing it and someone is confirming it. But I'm putting my eyes on it. So yeah, I'm putting my attentions on this as well. So thank you.
Okay, I think we got time for Melvin's question, and then we're
okay. So like, from what I've seen, like the expected gains we have from quantum computing stem from their massive parallelizability, being able to experiment with various multiple parallel, parameter adjustments in basis. So like that seems to be the bulk of where the speed advantage comes from. But like as we see with like classical silicon-based computing, there is a limit to how fast the clock speed is basically. So like each singular cycle of like each single set of calculations, you have to separate them, right? So like on a silicon chip, we have a limit to the clock speed basically because of how funnily enough, quantum effects will affect the accuracy of the computer at very high speeds. But on the quantum side, is there a kind of like, what is the practical clock speed limit basically of a quantum computer is what I'm trying to ask.
It's very hard to discuss quantum algorithms in terms of flops because there's no such thing as flops. It's not defined in quantum computers. And so the reasons why I showed that chart is because it's a theoretical calculation cost. It doesn't take into account heat loss. It doesn't take into account those errors as well. So it's theoretical. Those errors when you look at the quantum things that you don't want to look. So yeah. So theoretical practical flops. I don't know. Yeah, that's the answers. Yeah, but it's also what algorithms are you trying to run on it. So if it's matrix vector multiplications, which is what GPU is built for, I don't think there is even an algorithms that can run it better on quantum computers. And so it depends is always the answer. And so you see in my Venn diagram there, it's not every AI calculations will have advantage on quantum computers, but the flops. When we're talking about flops, we're usually talking about matrix vector multiplications, which is the calculations that we saw in the beginning of the slide. But I don't even think that quantum computers can do that efficiently. So it's hard to discuss flops.
Okay, I think we're going to have to close it there. Sorry, if you have any other questions, he's a human. You can talk to him. But we've got to close it with it. We've got to be out of this place by 10:30. But Patria, thank you so much. And big hand for them over there. And let me just flip that. Don't go to the next slide yet, though. Don't go to the next slide yet, though. Okay, so I believe my American cousin, he's not really my cousin, but we have the same name, so it's kind of the same thing. American Andrew is going to do the draw for the Cento tickets for the getting naked in a bath in Tokyo. My name's not in there. I don't live in Tokyo, so it's not really worth the train fare. But anyway, I hope everybody is legitimately excited about this. I'm just vamping while I'm waiting for him to take the mic from me. Dun, 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 dun. There we go.
Okay. Does anyone... So I got 4 entries. Does anyone else have a burning need to take a bath? Okay. Yeah, maybe so. But, wow, look at all you fancy folks. You all have showers and baths in your apartments, in your houses. Man. All right. So, to make this a little bit more interesting, I have added one more ticket into the pot. So there are 3 tickets. There are 4 people, and one of them used their own piece of paper, so it's really easy to tell which one it is. Let's see what comes out. That's actually true, isn't it? I only need to pull out one. All right. I'm going to try to not look at this. All right.
I'm not looking at all. It's easier for me to do this because I'm not also holding it. Right, that's one piece of paper. All right.
All right.
I'm going to...
Yeah, then you can
put that down now.
Yep.
Oh, we're going to do... Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I'll pull out 3 and then... Okay.
2.
All right. Da, 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 da. All right.
Okay, our 3 winners. First, creatively using a Family Mart receipt to make their tickets stand out. I have, is that Patrick? Patrick Boyd. Congratulations. Next up, we have Kana. Miss Kana, please. Okay. And third up, we have Michael Cohen. Cheers. So you get a bath, and you get a bath, and you get a bath. And the rest of you, I'm not going to stand too close. All right. So thank you very much for that. Do we have the slide next for me? Okay. And the rest of you also, seriously, if you haven't tried one before, you should check out Essential. Okay, so if you've been coming to Nerd Nite this year so far, you know that I've spent some time talking about everything that's been happening in the US. And frankly, if you're not aware of that by now, then I probably can't help you anyway. I'll just say, you know, do what you can. You know, many of you maybe belong to professional societies or have ones that represent your industries. Thank you. And yes, so, and many of them have codes of ethics, and I would start asking, when do those professional societies start saying something too? But I wanted to focus on some good news tonight, which is that last month we discussed how the EU is trying to attract researchers, especially from the US, provide homes for them, add more funding for research. This is finally starting to catch on in Japan as well. Just the other week, Tohoku University, which is in Sendai, you might know it, is a huge research university, has announced that over the next few years, over the next 5 years, they are going to recruit 500 new researchers. That's tenured professors, assistant professors, research assistants. They're going to focus on the US to do it, and they're going to spend the money to do it. As you might know, salaries in Japan are often much lower than in the US, and they're aware of this, and they're working on this. At the same time, there's been an official call from the government to colleges to actually start thinking about recruiting students from the US who are being kicked out for one reason or another, like, I don't know, persecuting one of the top universities in the world for some reason. So that's starting to happen. And the admissions deadline for this is already closed, but if you're familiar with OIS, which is in Okinawa, which is a really fascinating institute if you're not familiar with it. It's an all-graduate institute, completely in English, basically designed to give people a place where they can collaborate and work together and build extraordinary things. They also had a special application period that just closed to recruit specifically Americans who were looking for a new home for research. So if you know anyone who could benefit from any of these, who might want to go to Tohoku in particular, please tell them about this. There is a legitimate effort happening in Japan to try and bring Japan back up into, I'll say, the upper echelons of the research world, and this seems like a good thing. And I think that's all I have to say for tonight. The folks who got the tickets see me afterwards.
You can see them right now while I do the thank yous. Which I think is what's next. There we go. Yeah, so thank you. I think there's some music playing here. So thank you to Andrew, Bruce, Todd, who's standing right beside me, so I can thank him for... Thank you, sir. Oh, very good. Thanks to Coco, who couldn't be here tonight. Melvin, who is here tonight, and he's running the cameras. Daria on sound. Gray on live stream. I don't know why that came out that way. Selena on door and telling people to be quiet. She's apparently in the John right now. Mackenzie running these slides and also made the slides for me this week, which was very helpful. And Alex, who's going to be helping us pack everything up and then carry a bunch of crap for me because he's awesome that way. And of course, big thanks to our venue, Yozan Park Lounge. I hope you guys bought lots of drinks and made them happy. And we will see you next month, July 18th. Have a great night. We got to be out by 10:30, so you'll have to forgive us as we slowly shuffle out. Right. Okay. Good night.